Sometimes one financial decision can be worth tens, even hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I should know because I paid off $43,000 worth of debt, built a net worth to over $800,000. So in this video, I want to take a look at what the hell is going on in Reddit to see what people are getting themselves into and what I would do in each of their situations. Let's jump into it. All right, so all of these are going to be from the subreddit of personal finance. This was from 5 days ago. Needing advice on cash versus stocks and how to go about student loan. Okay. I'm an independent contractor pilot, 27 male, moving out on my own for the first time. I make about $8,000 to $9,000 a month after taxes. Have been saving about $5,000 a month. Holy crap. Although now that I'm moving out, I'm not too sure what it will be, maybe saving $2 to $3K a month. Currently, I have flight school loans from Sallie Mae at 3.75%. This doesn't bother me as it's a low rate. Current balance is $64,000 and the total I took was $72,000. No other debt. That's amazing. I have $100,000 in my Amex high yield savings account, $36,000 in a Roth IRA, $15,000 in a brokerage account, and $6,000 in checking. For a long time, I was saving to buy property, but not sure when I'll plant roots, so that's not going to happen now for maybe 3 years. So I know I need to put more into stocks. VOO is good to me, as I can just follow one, but open to suggestions. I'd like advice though. I plan on putting all future savings in stocks. Should I put a good chunk of that high yield savings account into stocks over time? Should I consider paying off the school loan, maybe just a chunk of my loan? The thought of having as much liquid cash for when I buy is important, but who knows when that will be. Saving is important and investing, but I don't have a number in mind to chase and don't care to retire early. Would appreciate about opening these specific accounts. Okay. Got it. So first of all, really impressive. Independent contractor pilot. That is very cool. Very cool. Thank you for flying. And yeah, I think the one question I would have is the loan here. Like, how much is the monthly payment? Okay, so I just went into our good friend ChatGPT here and basically just copied and pasted your comment here to try and figure out, like, what would the debt-free payoff, the debt-free date be if you were to, to use different months. And it gave a little chart here. So let's assume you're making $400 payments towards the student loan. That's going to take you 18 years to pay it off. Now, it sounds like you have extra cash, so maybe putting more a month would do that. And then you're looking at 3.8, 5.7 years, right? So for me, this is interesting, especially because you mentioned that you didn't want to buy a home for at least 3 years now. So you have $100,000 in a high yield savings account. First of all, amazing. Kudos. But it's probably too much, we'll call it cash, sitting there. And I think you're kind of acknowledging that down here as well. So what I would personally do is, I am sure if I were to scroll in these comments down here below, other people are going to give you advice about like how to optimize your investing. If VOO, which for those that don't know is just a Vanguard index fund, is basically just mirroring the S&P 500, which is just probably one of the most common investing tools that are out there. If it's been good for you and you've liked the returns, just stay in there. That's amazing. So honestly, if your interest rate for the loan is 3.75%, putting in high yield savings, you're probably getting around that same amount of interest returning, because that's kind of where the high yield savings are right now, 3-4%. So we're going to call it a wash. So there's no real gain here in terms of like putting more money into this isn't going to be helpful. Now you could just completely pay off the student loan balance. That sounds maybe crazy, but like that is a possibility. When my wife and I paid off the $43,000, we did it in 13 months. We freed up so much, like, not just money, but like mental bandwidth of just getting that out of our life. And so I don't know if that's really an option for you per se, but like that is something to consider for sure. It's definitely on the table. I'd love to hear what you guys are thinking down watching this video. Let me know in the comments, like, what would you do with $100,000? Would you pay off the $64,000 in debt? Would you just move, like, how much would you move of this to maybe an investing kind of a thing? Because it sounds like, again, you're waiting at least 3 years. So typically, depending on the risk that you're willing to consume with that, like maybe that's not the best avenue to put it into a brokerage account. Like it still could potentially grow a lot if you were to put a big chunk into this of your high yield savings account into, say, a brokerage account. I would also say that maybe you're getting to the point where you're going to start making too much to be able to contribute to your Roth IRA. So definitely look into that, because I would want to maximize that if humanly possible. But at the end of the day, there are a lot of options. And it kind of just sounds like you're talking through this, like, should I save? Should I invest? Should I pay off debt? And it's really one of the hardest questions to answer in personal finances. If anyone out there says, oh, just do this, I don't know, there's never enough context. Like there's always like the interest rate math, like I was kind of saying, right? Because his debt was 3.75% interest. In the high yield savings it was getting probably around the same amount. And then like investing is obviously going to be a larger, vehicle for putting money aside, things like that. So it's literally math and risk tolerance as well. So for me, it might feel uncomfortable. I probably wouldn't do it in one big chunk, but like paying off the student loan pretty quickly would be like, yeah, I would probably be doing that. I would probably be doing that. Knowing what I know now about paying off all the debt that we paid off in such a short period of time, that's what I would personally do. Like chunks, put huge chunks towards this. And even if we go back to the chart here, like $1,000 a month is still 5.7 years. That's so much time. Like you're gonna be 33 years old still like paying off this pretty good student loan balance. I don't know. It's just free up the time, because when you free up this debt as well, and you're not seeing my screen, when you're freeing up this debt here, you're going to have obviously that amount of money that you can continue to put towards the home fund. So at the end of the day, it's probably more of a risk decision than a math decision. You have the numbers to back up, basically do whatever you want with it. But I do think, this is super interesting. Love to hear what you guys think about it down in the comments. All right, let's jump right into the next one here. 8 days ago, is it smarter to keep renting? I'm in what I believe is a pretty unique situation. About 7 years ago, I inherited $400,000. Yes, I would say that's a pretty unique situation. I never touched it, and today's reached $900,000 in 7 years. Nice. I work in a restaurant and don't make a ton of money, but my bills are paid. Rent is $2,000 a month. No debt, no kids, no other expenses. There is rent stabilization here, so it can't be raised more than 6% per lease, and I signed 2-year leases. I max out my Roth IRA every year, but I don't save any money outside of that. My mom thinks I should buy a home, but 1-bedroom condos in my area range from $400,000 to $600,000. I think keeping the inherited money invested and untouched will long-term make me more money than not paying rent would save me. I feel like everyone's goal is to own property, but I just don't think it makes sense in my situation. Any advice about why I may be wrong would be appreciated. No. And this looks like it completely blew up in terms of going viral on Reddit. So maybe I'll scroll down in a second. But what I love here is your mindset. Like people are telling you, hey, I think you should do this. And I don't like the word should, because it just, I don't really like. So it doesn't sound like you're that interested in it. And I love this because, yes, if your life is fine, there's no need to add complexity to it. And by complexity, I mean like owning. Owning is such a more complex thing than renting. There's so many other just things that pop up. Like the other day I was driving home after I picked my kids up from daycare, and I opened the garage door, it went up a little bit, then it just slammed shut. It just completely broke, and it's like, well, we have to deal with this now because I can't go in the garage. So it's like just things like that are just a pain in the ass. So if you don't have to deal with that, don't. Like just keep making that money. Just keep increasing this. There's no need to like go crazy with this. Now, in terms of being able to save a little more money, you're doing a great job, by the way. To save a little more money, here's what I would do, and I don't know if you're doing this already with kind of what you're making, but I'm going to quickly describe a 3-step process that I walk through in my personal finance community. It's helping people find hundreds or $1,000 every single month. Basically, the first step is called the 3-month look back. So you look back 90 days, you see where all your spending has happened, okay? Throw it into AI, and it's going to categorize all the stuff for you, and you can quickly see where your money has been going. Then step 2 is called North Star Goals. You're going to write down a list of 2, 5, 10 things. Doesn't really matter. But things that matter to you the most, this could be something happening right now. It could be something happening in the future, a life goal, financial goal, non-negotiables, things like that. So for you, it does sound like maybe like owning a home eventually, maybe, right? So maybe that's on the list, etc. Then what you do is you see where you've been spending your money, and then you look from the 3-month look back. And then in the North Star Goals part, we see like, oh, okay, is where I'm spending, is it going towards things that I'm telling myself matter the most? And most likely it's not. If you've never done this exercise before, most likely it could be, we'll call it optimized a little bit. And that's step 3, where it's the realignment of moving money from places where we're spending it and don't really care because it's not on the North Star goal list, 2 things that we do care about. So for you, if you want to save a little extra money, maybe you could free up a few $100s a month, maybe $1,000 plus a month, depending on how much you actually make. And that could give you a nice little buffer, we'll call it, just to have a little even more stability. But you have a huge stability. You've got that $900,000 account here. It's incredible. And I would not listen to mom on this one, especially if you're looking for a 1-bedroom condo. I'm definitely not a real estate expert, but like, I don't know, 1-bedroom condo is probably not that valuable for like resale. So I would just kind of think about that as well. But yeah, what would you guys watching this video right now? What would you do with an account that has $900,000 in it? Let me know down in the comments. All right, let's jump right into the next one here from 12 days ago. Maxing out 401k. I, 26 female, am starting my first corporate job. Nice. I've worked random jobs up until now and have never contributed to my 401k. My last highest paying job, I was $52,000. My new job is $70,000. Nice. Most people are telling me I should max out my 401k, but most people may be overestimating how much I'm making. However, my dad is also telling me to max out, even though he knows how much I will be making. On one hand, I want to trust him because he's in finance, but on the other hand, it seems a little crazy. He's telling me that I'm already starting this process way too late. The company does 100% match for the first 3% and 50% match for the next 2%. Does anyone have any thoughts or advice? Thanks in advance. So first, what I'll say is like, what are your goals? What are your goals? Are you trying to retire very soon? Are you part of the FIRE movement, the financial independence, retire early movement? You're 26 years old, okay? So I love that your dad is looking out for you here, and you know, he's kind of pushing you. He's saying that you're starting this process way too late. No, I would say. I wouldn't say way too late. It's great that he's pushing you, but if we were to look at like a compounding interest calculator, so just to make sure, you said, yeah, you've never contributed to a 401k. It doesn't sound like you have any like retirement or anything like that. Amazing. So depending on what your goals are, let's assume in 30 years you want to retire. You'll be 56 years old, okay? So then you just have to go to one of these compounding interest calculators and do some math. So you could look and say, okay, what would happen if I put $100 a month towards my retirement for the next 30 years with a conservative interest rate return of 8%? And you're starting at 0. It doesn't let me put 0 for some reason, so I have to put $1. At $100 for 30 years, you'd have $149,000. Is that enough to retire on? Absolutely, probably not in 30 years. So then you just keep kind of stepping up the ladder. What would $250 a month look like? Okay. What would $500 a month look like? Okay, $745,000. What would $1,000 a month look like? $1.5 million in 30 years. So what I'm trying to say is like everyone who invests probably wish they invested 10 years earlier than when they did. Who knows when your dad started? When did your dad start? Did he start early on like that? Did he start super early? Because at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, we could have always started earlier. I wish I started 10 years early. I wish I was, started this stuff in like high school, right? I don't know. Like you always wish you start early, but you didn't. And now you're here, you're asking the question, which is amazing. And so this is just how we have to look at it. So it's like, what is your goal with this, first of all? And then you try to reverse engineer like, okay, what do I need to do? And then you can kind of see what the contribution amount monthly would be. Now, if you're saying like, oh, wow, $1,000 a month, then you just simply have to go to the process of what I talked about earlier, which is the 3-month look back, North Star goals, realignment. Because you make what you said in your post here, $70,000 a year. It's not bad. It's not bad, right? Especially you're 26. It's not bad. So I don't know if you're living on your own or if you're living with your dad, your parents, whatever. Depending on your situation, like that could be possible. Putting that much aside every single month could be absolutely possible. So one, keep doing the match to max out your employer's contribution. Like that is like step 1. And then just keep putting money aside. You didn't mention that you have any like debt or anything like that. So it seems like you're in a good position here, and I wouldn't worry about what other people are saying. Maybe you're too late. Everyone starts too late, but you're starting now. You're asking the right questions, so you should be really proud of that. And this isn't the only Reddit video that I made. If you're interested in this and you want to see what else is going on Reddit, see where everyone's at in their personal finance journey, I have this one right here.